Oh, thank God we got some new Apple hardware this week. Look, things are real weird right now. I know everyone is not really sure how things are gonna play out over the next 1 to 2 months. I think we're gonna be fine. But it's so great that Apple dropped a bunch of new hardware on us so that we could forget our troubles and focus on something that's a little less serious, some great new hardware. So let's talk about that today. First things first, look, dude, there's nothing I can do about this curl. It's just gonna keep hanging out like this. I keep trying to put it back in and it just keeps popping back out. So let's just try to ignore it. Let's not encourage it. By the end of the video, it's probably gonna be down to there. Maybe I can put it into a little ponytail or something, we'll see. Now, Apple announced a new Mac Mini with a really lame storage update and that's it. The new MacBook Air looks really good. I could probably do a whole video just on that. Then we got the new iPad Pro, which was slightly titillating, but is really too much like my previous current iPad Pro for me to want to upgrade. What I thought looked very, very enticing and had these bad boys going. That was the new iPad Smart Keyboard Case. I know it sounds like clickbait, and it kind of is at least a little bit clickbaity, but I think this might be a game changer. This is the accessory that I've been waiting for since the iPad came out. Here's been my problem with the iPad. I have the iPad Pro, I absolutely love it, but you can't really use it as a computer. It's basically just like a giant iPhone. Now, Apple has been trying to address this problem for years. They keep trying to push this as a productivity machine, as a laptop replacement computer, which it hasn't really been. The first thing that they've been working on is the OS. They changed the OS and made it iPad specific, so you could do more things on the iPad that you could with the actual iPhone, so it's no longer just a giant iPhone anymore. And it is a lot better, although I think it still has a long ways to go. I just don't think that iOS is very good for productivity, and that's the problem, or that's been one of the big problems with the iPad is you sit down in front of the OS and there's no file system, you can't really access hard drives, there is no multitasking. All the things that make it easier to do work on your actual computer are not on the iPad until recently. So they're changing iPad OS so it supports hard drives. There's this iOS feeling version of multitasking and file system support that basically does the job. It's not quite as good as Mac OS, but you can get by with it if you needed to. But the big problem with the iPad, as far as I've seen it, is there's never really been a great keyboard and there was no trackpad, which I thought was a huge omission. I hate typing on my iPad. In fact, I rarely do it because, you know, typing on the screen with both your thumbs is not fast, it's not accurate. I just want to Stevie Wonder my way on a nice keyboard, inputting data like I do on my MacBook Pro. That experience has never fully been realized until now. The iPad Smart Keyboard changes the game in several ways. First, if you notice, there is a gap beneath the actual iPad and the keyboard now, so that when you're typing on it, the iPad is gonna be rattling around, right? Especially if you have it on your lap, but if you have it attached to a cantilever, I'm imagining that's gonna absorb some of the shock of the iPad going up and down, so it's not gonna shake around as much when it's on your lap. The other big part about this keyboard is it has the same dreamy scissor switches as the 16-inch MacBook Pro. I had the 16-inch MacBook Pro. In fact, I got it to replace the previous generation MacBook Pro that I had that had the butterfly switches. It is a night and day difference. I don't know if you've ever been to the Apple Store and played with both. The butterfly keyboards I always thought were way too shallow. They didn't have nearly as much movement as I liked. And the scissor switch mechanisms, baby. That thing clicks and clacks like a dream. I was going back and forth on that thing and I just felt like I was in some type of dream sequence. The nips were almost at full mast. It has just the right amount of push and give. It feels so good. Every depression, it just feels the way a keyboard should. That is the way the new smart keyboard for the iPad is gonna feel. It's an actual keyboard. It's not covered with cloth like the last generation keyboard was. It's an honest to goodness real keyboard, and below it sits the real magic, the trackpad. I never thought that Apple would actually churn the iPad Pro experience into something that Microsoft has been doing for a while with their Surface products. Now you have a tablet, you snap on the magic keyboard, and now you have a cursor. Man, a cursor changes everything, doesn't it? I mean, touch controls sure are fine, but when you're just trying to kick back trying to kick back on your couch. You're probably totally nude. You maybe have a beverage sitting there and you're just scrolling, right? You're trying to do some shopping or something, or maybe you're trying to create a document. Going back from the keyboard to the screen, to the keyboard to the screen, especially if you're like trying to select text and stuff, it's not an optimal experience. You need to have that trackpad, and that is what Apple has finally added. The trackpad, along with the elevated iPad, so it's not shaking all around, those two features are gonna make the iPad an actual laptop replacement. But hold on, I know a lot of you are thinking, dude, there's no way this is gonna replace my laptop. And for you specifically saying that, I think that you're right. Look, if you're doing Final Cut Pro, if you're doing Logic, if you're doing lots of production work, iOS's file system, iOS's multitasking, they're hacks. They're not gonna work for you. I totally get that. They're not gonna work for me either. But for a majority of people who are just doing some internet browsing, or maybe you have an iPad and every once in a while you wanna just leave your Mac at home and take your iPad with you, Magic Keyboard along with the trackpad, along with Mac OS elements within iPad OS, those are gonna make it so that you can get a basic level of work done and still enjoy your iPad as a real computer. So you pop your iPad off, you have that delicious, wonderful media consumption device. You pop it onto the Magic Keyboard. Oh my goodness, is it just me? Am I in a world of professional computing? Oh, what's this? Oh, I'm moving things here. I'm putting things there. I got access to my hard drive via the USB-C port. And oh, by the way, the Magic Keyboard has its own USB-C port built in. So you can plug the USB-C port into power. It will charge your iPad via the smart connector on the back, and you still have your USB-C port on the iPad itself to plug into all your accessories, which was a huge omission up until this very moment. Now I know many of you are thinking to yourself, yeah, but it's $300 for the 11-inch version of the Magic Keyboard, and it's $350 for the 12.9-inch. It's too much money. I agree with you, it is. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to spend, especially if you're buying a brand new iPad and you want to get the keyboard with it. Now all of a sudden, you're spending MacBook Pro money. At that point, it doesn't really make sense to me. I would rather just get a MacBook Pro. But if you already have a MacBook Pro, or if you already have an iPad and you just want to spend a few hundo, slap on that keyboard and the cursor, now it's starting to make a whole lot more sense to me. I'm like, I don't have to buy the iPad. I already have a MacBook Pro. I'm just gonna get the smart keyboard and slap it on, and now I have a kind of hacky, hybrid computer sitting there with my iPad if I need to use it in that way. Now, I think that's just the beginning. Now, what I'm hoping Apple does is, let me just have a full version of Mac OS on the iPad. I know what you're thinking, dude, TC, he's not gonna do it. But look at where we are. They've already done a ton of things they said they were never gonna do. Here we have an actual hybrid OS on iPad. We have a keyboard with an actual trackpad. We have all sorts of stuff that we thought we would never get. It seems like they're meandering their way over in that direction. I think it might happen. Because how cool would it be just to have a 1-pound computer that you can use as a tablet, and then when you want to convert it into an actual productivity machine, to just slap on the keyboard and boom, you're there. And think about this. The iPad is faster than tons of different laptops. If they give you a full version of Final Cut Pro, of Logic, you could actually go in and do all your editing on an iPad, as long as it's not like super heavy, multi-level timeline workflows on Final Cut Pro. I think it's gonna be beefy enough for many people's needs. You might even be able to edit 4K video. In fact, the last iPad can edit 4K video, so this one will do it no problem. Look, I'm just rambling on my ideas, man. You put the wind in my sails, and I just head out north. Let's go out into the ocean, let's look at the stars. That's what I'm doing here. Do I know what that means? No. Google it, maybe you can figure it out. Let me know. Stick with me here. My point being is, this is a very exciting update. It's one that I think is transformational for the iPad. It's gonna make the idea of having an iPad as your main computer instead of getting a laptop viable for a lot of different people. It's gonna make the iPad an even better travel computer because it's a tablet when you want it, when you're on the plane. Boom. You're in your suit, you're at the business meeting, you're ready for your keynote presentation. All the big execs are there. They've all got their eyes on you, and your promotion is hanging in the balance. Oh, let me just pop open my iPad. I've got the trackpad here. I'm slinging, I'm blinging. There's charts, there's flow sheets, there's all sorts of tabs popping up everywhere, and you just won the meeting. The Magic Keyboard, I'm excited for it. I'm definitely buying one for my, I guess, previous gen iPad Pro. Now, I think it's very exciting, and I can't wait to take it for a spin and see what Apple's vision of hybrid computing is really like. I think we're headed somewhere exciting. We keep getting there one step at a time, but this Magic Keyboard for the iPad, this is a huge leap in the direction I was hoping we would go. We finally got a trackpad on the iPad. We finally got a trackpad on the iPad. We finally got a trackpad on the iPad. What more could you want? We got it. We finally got a trackpad on the iPad. Up top.